Bucks' new arena. Outside for this afternoon, mostly sunny, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, highs in the low 60s in the Milwaukee area, mid-70s in the Madison area. Saturday, mostly sunny with highs in the mid-60s in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, happy Thursday to you, my buddy.
Hey, happy days, my friend.
And the day drinking starts early. We got a fine guest here on Brady. He's our friend, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, and he came bearing fine Wisconsin beer. Thank you, sir. Welcome to the big show.
It's just meant to take the edge off.
What makes you think there's going to be any edge?
Well, I'm on your show, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, I come here to be abused. You know?
Well, we'll do our best.
Well, let's get started, Ron. We're coming up.
Boy, you took the cue off the bat.
We're going to be in Oshkosh this weekend.
Are you
sir.
really?
I understand that's where you live here. You got a nice place up there in Oshkosh.
I do,
Ron.
and we're not going to give you the address.
You got
It's really hard to
You got a
find.
pool up there, Ron?
It's really hard to find.
Ron, you want to meet us out? For...
That's why I came down here. You know, save you the trouble of traveling.
Well, we were going to come looking for your house up in Oshkosh this weekend. Democratic Party convention, Ron.
Oh, yeah, just not on my radar.
Shocking.
Do you have any recommendations up in Osh Vegas? Any good places for us to go have a cold one after the event?
Oh, I mean, just go down Main Street. There's tons of them. You just pick your lot.
Do you have a favorite?
I'm really busy, guys.
You're real busy.
I can't be
busy getting legislation signed by the president.
Wasn't that nice? Did you guys watch that live?
I did. I got the heads
sir.
up on the feed.
I was just actually texting Laura McGlynn before I walked in here. That was really a nice moment.
Now,
we
Ron,
were able to return a little bit of freedom to the American public. That's not a bad thing.
And Ron, what was the setting? The right to try was the legislation. This one of your namesake pieces of legislation, although not yours alone, a bipartisan bill, my understanding. Trump signed it into law yesterday. You were acknowledged by the President of the United States. Where was it? Was it at his house? Was it at the White House?
It was at the Executive Office building. They have there was a lot of people who wanted to attend. And by the way, normally those signings, you're standing around the desk and you have members of Congress standing behind there and he hands the pen to the lead author, which would have been me at that point in time. I was just so glad that he actually had the namesakes of the bill behind him. Yeah. The patients, their families that have worked tirelessly. 40 states passed this thing, 98%, almost to 2%, overwhelmingly bipartisan. And so he had those folks standing behind him. And, of course, we had the little Jordan McGlynn, a victim of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, his mom. And, of course, Jordan stole the show. That was great. And Jordan got, just funny, the president said, hey, Ron, do you think I had to give him the sign?
Do you mind if I give him
Absolutely,
the sign?
Mr. President. That's the right choice to make.
Yeah.
So it was just a really cool moment. And I don't care what you think about Donald Trump. His concern for those patients is genuine. I mean, he's hugging little Jordan McGlynn. It's just a great moment. I hope Americans are kind of proud of the whole process.
It was nice to see a bipartisan bill and something I think that people logically would look at and say this is a good bill. But there were detractors. There are some people who are concerned. What do you say to those that are concerned?
Well, first of all,
implied consent and
there are legitimate concerns, particularly on the part of the drug manufacturers, that the FDA will take a look at this and just not allow them to really provide expanded access. The liability protection, the fact that these drugs, this is limited to individuals that have no other treatment options. They can't apply or don't qualify for clinical trial, which means they're probably pretty progressed in the disease. So unfortunately, people will be dying. And the drug manufacturers don't want those deaths use it against them in terms of drug approval process, that could harm all of us, not have a drug that's potentially effective be available to us. So there are legitimate concerns, but that the people talked about, providing false hope. My God, talk to a person who has gotten that diagnosis. They're out of treatment options. They have no hope. I mean, they'll take false hope. Trust me on this. And even a placebo effect. Let's say your dad, and you just want to live 2 more months to see a child born or a grandchild born or your daughter get married. Sometimes that placebo effect, if nothing else, can get you past that time frame. So again, the whole point, this is about freedom. The American people should have that right to make that decision on a drug that has passed the first phase, the safety phase, saying that it's safe enough to continue clinical trials. Let people basically make that decision whether they want to be in one of those trials.
My aunt passed away a couple years ago, ALS, a terrible disease.
Oh, it's horrible.
And so I certainly can appreciate that. And at some point, there's just absolutely nothing you can do given the circumstances with the drugs and that disease. I had another aunt also pass away, pancreatic cancer, lived in Michigan, was able to get some medical marijuana. Is that impacted, is marijuana at all impacted the debate about that in this bill at all?
No, but listen, I'm completely supportive of using the medicinal benefits of marijuana across the board. I mean, this cannabis oil will cure these little children with continuous seizures. I mean, just because we've outlawed it as a recreational drug in past history still is in many states, obviously. Okay, I got that. We have far more powerful drugs that are legal that were never used recreationally. So I think it's just really stupid, from my standpoint, not to allow the FDA and drug manufacturers to start utilizing the benefits of what could be available in marijuana. We should absolutely be doing that.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates. Got a fine guest live in our Brady Street studios. Easy for me to say. He is U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. My takeaway from that story, Ron, Donald Trump's stiffed you on a pen, sir.
No, I still got a pen. I just didn't get the pen. Jordan got that, and again, that was completely appropriate. Guys, let me tell you another. This is a real life story. There was Dr. Del Passant. He's an oncologist in Houston, Texas. He was involved in a clinical trial, very aggressive form of endocrine cancer. The drug was working for 150 patients that signed up. So he applied to the FDA. He had more patients. He had, at that point in time, 73 more patients. I want to include them in the trial. This is working. And the FDA said, nope. But because he had the right try law in Texas, no liability protection, he risked his career. He signed those 73 patients up. In the end, 179 more people. The drug was finally approved 32 months later. 132 of those individuals were still alive at that moment because of his courage. So right to try, I can't predict when. It's going to be different with every medical condition, drugs. I'm hoping it'll spur more innovation, particularly by smaller companies that are probably willing to allow patients to take the risk because they're not concerned about the FDA, kind of screwing them over when it comes to approval process. So to me, this is not an endpoint. This is not a panacea. It's not a cure. I think it'll force action. It'll force a legitimate debate on the ethics of placebo trials at a certain point. This is a good first step, but it's only first step.
Now, my understanding of 40 states themselves has some sort of right to try. How does this impact those
It provides the overall federal liability protection because right now manufacturers weren't really participating in those all that often because they had no liability protection. And trust me, patients at this stage, they'll sign a stack of waivers that thick to have access to something that will give them some measure of hope because they have no hope.
Ron, got to ask you about affordability and accessibility of healthcare. Right here in the state of Wisconsin, predictions are premiums going up 15% on Obamacare's exchange. And I call it the ACA, but it's still tagged to Obamacare. In some small part, the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, says that's because of the removal of the individual mandate. We sort of got a half-step repeal, but Ron, we the consumers are going to pay the penalty for a partial repeal. This is not a solution, is it, Ron?
Well, again, the main problem with premiums right now in the individual market is the faulty architecture of Obamacare, where you're taking a very small slice of the American public, asking them to pay the full cost for the social benefit of covering people with pre-existing conditions. Now, the good news is you can cover people with pre-existing conditions with a well-designed program, like an invisible high-risk pool in Maine. They had the same thing. They passed guaranteed issue, premiums doubled, tripled. And so they didn't repeal guaranteed issue. They supplanted it with invisible high-risk pools, and premiums are cut to a third of the level for young people, cut in half for elderly people. So again, no, I'm not happy in the slightest in terms of our failure of repairing the damage done by Obamacare and transitioning to a system that will actually work. Now, again, I think the repeal of the individual mandate was the right thing to do. It's about freedom, and what the administration is working on right now is the short-term limited duration plans. Obama, on the way out the door, cut those things from 364 days and took away the renewability of those things, cut it down to 90 days. So now individuals that are working, making a little bit too much money so they don't have the subsidies, are completely getting hosed. And those are the individuals, the forgotten men and women, that I really want to address. And the short-term limited duration plans, absent the individual liability or individual mandate, is helpful. Now we will give some market-based, far reduced premium types of plans once that's enacted, and that's hopefully going to be issued here in the next couple of weeks.
But Ron, now that your party has tinkered with the current established plan, you guys own this, and you own some of the consequences that happened there.
Obama Democrats are the ones that passed Obamacare. They're the faulty architecture. That's why premiums doubled, tripled, quadrupled, for example, in Tennessee. I've got the data on that. Quadrupled for a male of age 40, which was the study. So that's the faulty architecture of Obamacare. Yeah, we haven't been able to repair that damage. That's unfortunate. We have a broad spectrum within the Republican Party on what we need to do, so we couldn't pass a replacement on that. But again, I think we have enacted some additional freedoms, and I think the short-term limited duration plans will be definitely helpful.
But Ron, this is an election year, and I saw some polling out today, DNC polling, or at least DNC sharing it about. 55% of voters very concerned about their health care affordability and cost. 23% additional, at least somewhat concerned about their health care affordability and cost.
It ought to be 100%.
Ron, we're at like 78% of voters.
Well, I know.
This is the midterm year, sir.
It's been a real problem. And I was just at another event talking about how we keep the Wisconsin economy and education. We're not happy with either one. So the solution is re-injecting the discipline of free market competition by reconnecting the consumer. Things like HSAs. Allow individuals to decide what insurance type is good for them, not a one-size-fits-all model governed by the federal government. So again, free market competition, reconnecting the consumer of the payment, the product of the payment, not this third-party system which we built up with insurance as well as government programs.
Ron, what about seeing things halfway my way? What about expanding Medicaid?
Because it's your
like
way.
Virginia just did, sir.
I mean, you just answered your own question.
But this is for the benefit of many low-income voters. This is for the benefit of many low-income consumers. They're human beings, Ron. If they can't afford health insurance, why wouldn't we expand Medicaid here in the state of Wisconsin available to us with federal dollars?
We do. And Scott Walker did, but just didn't do it the way President Obama did, so we don't get the benefit of federal government subsidies. So my suggestion, what I've been trying to work on, is something like the Graham-Cassidy-Heller-Johnson block grant to the states. Take the federal government spending, not even cutting it, but allocate it more equitably to the states. Now, I don't have the updated figures, but when we were going through this debate, there were 3 states, California, New York, Massachusetts, 20% of the population. They're getting 36% of federal health care spending. That's unfair. It's inequitable. And by the way, we just have a report from the IG, 25% overpayment in California. They're wasting the money. There's a better way of doing it, but it's having it managed by states as opposed to one-size-fits-all model in Washington.
Let's manage a Medicaid expansion right here in the Badger State. Ron, let's do it right here. Those are our federal tax dollars not returned to us.
The problem with Medicaid expansion is it actually puts at risk core Medicaid. That's the problem with Medicaid expansion. We are targeting it toward able-bodied, working-age, childless adults, and as a result, we're encouraging people not to work.
How is that free market capitalism, Ron?
It's not.
It's not, of course, because the poor and the elderly, well, we socialize those losses because they're more expensive, and we allow the insurance companies to profit off of everybody else because they are the least expensive.
We all want to help individuals that can't help themselves, but we don't want to expand that to people that can't help themselves because it doesn't work.
Senator, please stick around. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, a friend of this show, will be at your house Friday night late, sir. Come back with
feel real friendly.
More Devil's Advocates right here on Resistance Radio.
It's my house.
We have a pond in the back. We have a pool and a pond. A pond would be good for you.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron. Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi, folks. This is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009. Or visit cclmanagement.com today.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 a.m., WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, also streaming live on the YouTube and Facebook channels. You can hit us up on Twitter at Devil Radio, and if you miss any of this fine program, please go to the website. You can download or listen to interviews and podcasts at domandcroot.com.
By the way, I like that acoustic guitar right there in the background. Can you tell me who that was?
Grateful Dead.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
I just got a little bit of it.
There you go.
We had a guy playing guitar right there last night, Ron. You'd have been proud. It was protest music. I think he was protesting against guys like you,
I
sir.
think it was protesting Democrats. Isn't big government, loss of freedom.
Ron, I saw an editorial. It was very encouraging of a position you took recently. I know I was surprised myself, sir. Wisconsin needs workers.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
Ron, let's talk about this issue in perhaps haste, my word. The Trump administration has reduced the number of seasonal workers, temporary workers.
Oh, they actually increased it 15,000, but it's not enough.
What would you propose as a solution?
So and this was actually proposed and introduced into law in the last Congress, but it's just a guest worker visa program governed by the states. If Alabama doesn't want guest worker immigrants, fine, they can have zero, but Wisconsin needs them. And let's face it, an economy is made up of two things: human capital combined with financial capital. We don't have enough human capital. We're at 2.8% unemployment. By the way, give Walker some credit for making Wisconsin an attractive place for business expansion. 2.8%. Full employment.
The day he hits 250,000 jobs, maybe I'll give him some credit, sir.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. We'll bring him in. Okay. 2.8% unemployment. Economically, they've always said it's about 4 to 5% is full employment. So we're well past full employment. We don't have a birth rate to really replace our human capital. So we ought to embrace legal immigration targeted toward our economy. Job skills, including people who are just willing to work hard. And so immigrants have made this nation strong. So this would just be a visa program governed by the states, and we would be able to determine if we want to set wage rates so we don't depress Wisconsin workers' wages. We can do that. The state could do that. So try and again, do the federalism model. 50 sovereign states, 50 different experiments working the right way as opposed to one-size-fits-all model on immigration.
Well, immigration, I thought was a federal issue, but let's talk about
it is, but we could allow the states to govern the immigrants in their state.
Immigrants. Yeah. What about DACA? What about Dreamers? This is certainly
I want to fix it, and it's depressing that we weren't able to do that. It boggles my mind that Democrats would one of the reasons.
Democrats, sir.
No, one of the reasons we couldn't do it is they were holding out for the diversity lottery. We grant 1 million people permanent residency every year. It's an incredibly diverse group. If they would have given up on the diversity lottery, I think we might have been able to make progress and fix the DACA problem as well. But they held out again. Again, this is my viewpoint, obviously partisan, but what I've seen with its gun control, its immigration, Democrats always hold out for their vision of the perfect. They could get a measure of improvement if they weren't demanding their vision of the perfect. But again, I got to believe to a certain extent they just want the issue because they think it works for them. I want to solve the problem.
Ron, I remember your side sort of holding out on a Supreme Court seat once upon a time, sir.
No, we let the voters decide that, and they decided. You didn't like the decision? Too bad.
Oh, damn!
Come back with us.
What a concept. Let the voters decide the composition of the Supreme Court.
And perhaps
President.
And perhaps U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
I get home before daylight, just might get some sleep tonight.
Ron, make sure these countries start paying their bills a little bit more. They're way, way behind, Ron. We have to I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burleigh Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Do, re, mi. The first three notes just happen to
Terrible.
So when need to pulling down.
I can see listeners dropping off. Let's get some callers before we lose everybody. Betsy from Madison, you're up. Thanks for calling.
That will bring us back to do.
Terrible.
Hey, at least we didn't do Edelweiss.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A new report from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services says Milwaukee's lead poisoning prevention program has failed to take even some of the most basic steps to protect the city's children. This weekend is the State Democratic Convention in Oshkosh. You can hear live coverage here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network beginning tomorrow afternoon and evening with the Devil's Advocates and continuing on Saturday with Earl Ingram and Jocasta Zamaripa. And the Brewers beat the Cardinals yesterday 3-2. They have today off, then go to Chicago for a 3-game weekend series with the White Sox. Outside for this afternoon, mostly sunny, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, highs in the low 60s in the Milwaukee area, mid-70s in the Madison area. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a great guest. He's U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. He's a Republican, if you're unaware.
Is that a term of derision around here? Apparently.
I see nothing wrong with Republicans. I just oppose bad governance, Ron. Let's talk about the Spygate thing that's going on currently in D.C. Donald Trump is declaring that his campaign was infiltrated by spies. But even our friends on Fox News are having a little trouble finding this new tact, let's call it credible. Shepard Smith, Judge Napolitano, we saw Trey Gowdy pushing back and saying the FBI did exactly what it should have done, exactly what Trump would wanted to have done. He's the one that said, hey, if one of my campaigners, colluded, go investigate, go get to the bottom of this. Ron, I got to ask you, I feel like this is the Yanni Laurel question, if you know that.
Laurel, by the way.
You're a Laurel guy?
Yeah.
I hear the old guys always are.
Yeah, we started losing our hearing. What did you say, Mike?
The question, sir, where do you come down on this Spygate?
We tune out the high-pitched whine, so I didn't hear a word you said.
Spygate, sir.
Gotcha.
Yes
okay,
or no?
So let me ask you a question. Let's say George W. Bush took the IRS and had a little organization, the IRS, that targeted liberal progressive groups. But what would you say about that? What if George W. Bush's FBI, with the presidential candidate that was followed him, would have completely exonerated that individual from what was truly a crime in terms of using classified information, put him on a private server, all that type of thing? Didn't really conduct a true investigation, meant to uncover the truth and lead to prosecution, but it was meant to cover it up and lead to exoneration. And then throw on top of that, what would happen if George W. Bush had his Justice Department and security apparatus literally put a plant to spy on have an informant, whatever, on the political opponent's campaign? Would you be a little at least questioning about what's pulling off here? I believe, Mike, that there's been an abuse of power by the Obama administration throughout his term, putting his finger on the scale of justice, and we need to find out exactly what happened. We never found out what happened with Lois Lerner. That was never investigated because President Obama had Eric Holder totally protecting him, and then Loretta Lynch. So there's an awful lot of questions.
Listen, another administration, and Hillary Clinton isn't the president. Donald Trump is. And Donald Trump is telling the American people in Tennessee, can you believe it? They put a spy in my campaign. And Fox News Shepard Smith, Trey Gowdy, who was in the meeting on the information, said no. What do you say, Ron?
I'm saying that it's without doubt that the Clinton Justice Department, the FBI, was investigating the Trump campaign. And I think we need to be asking some pretty serious questions about that. A FISA warrant was issued on a dossier that was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Started out funded by Republicans.
There was some opposition research, but this was funded by the Clinton campaign. The FBI.
What about Paul Sanders?
I would say
Scott Walker's funders.
I would say a sham investigation in Hillary Clinton's email scandal, which is something I know an awful lot about. I've been doing my own 3-year investigation of that, which, by the way, I closed. We stopped once Trump got elected, and he said, well, we're not going to go after Hillary Clinton until we saw the Peter Strzok, Lisa Page texts, which are unbelievably revealing because they were operating with impunity because they're the investigator. Nobody's ever going to look at our text messages. Sorry, we got access to them. They reveal an awful lot. So here's the problem.
And they were critical of Republicans and Democrats.
We are dealing right now with a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Mueller has the most pieces. He knows more about it. Then right behind him is probably the Inspector General. Then behind him is the press because they have access to informants because the press actually protects their whistleblowers. And then you got members of Congress like me, and we are pretty well left in the dark. We get the information last.
You have subpoena powers, though, Ron.
We limited subpoena power. We have no enforcement
mechanism. Have you exercised them at all to investigate any of these things with regard to Russia and Trump and all that?
We have certainly. I've issued a few subpoenas on Backpage, for example. But again, you need cooperation. I don't have the same type of subpoena power that members of the House do. I need committee cooperation. We may get to that point. I've been pretty patient. We've been getting some information. I've been kind of seeing how this thing plays out. It's the intelligence committees that have been in charge of the Russian probe. I've let them do their work. I'm very frustrated. For example, the Senate Intelligence Committee hasn't issued a report. We do need to find out what happened, and we need to move beyond this. This is incredibly harmful when we've got these enormous challenges. But again, I take a look at this, and I can give you a different narrative. It's a theory, but it's a pretty bad narrative of a subversion of an administration.
Or conspiracy, right?
No, I mean, let's face it. I've never seen this in my adult life, in my life, where a president didn't have a honeymoon. That there was an effort from the day after the election to sabotage this administration. That's certainly what we see.
You want to take that one, Mike?
Well, if I recall correctly, at least the reporting I've seen, Ron, there was a little dinner in D.C. the night that Barack Obama got inaugurated. Your friend Paul Ryan was there, and there were tremendous efforts to obstruct the legislative priorities of Barack Obama.
I didn't see a couple 100,000 people hit the streets the day after the inauguration.
That's because people like Obama.
I think after President Obama got elected, I think America almost collectively said, this is kind of a pretty cool thing. We finally have elected an African-American president. Maybe we can heal this nation racially. Maybe we can move beyond that. Maybe this is that moment in time. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Is Donald Trump healing the nation racially?
Listen, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is there's some serious questions about corruption. Now, it's not just possible corruption, it's corruption. When you have the acting director end up being, deputy and then acting director of the FBI lie, just demonstrably lie to his own investigators. They put people in jail for that. There's nobody who knows how serious that is more than the deputy and acting director of the FBI.
Lied to Congress?
This is McCabe. Again,
but you're talking about lying. I mean, these things matter, right? Lying matters.
He had met with Sergei Kislyak. He disclosed that he had not met with any Russians, and apparently he had, Ron.
Again, I'm not talking about Jeff Sessions now. I'm talking.
But we're talking about lying.
I'm talking about potential corruption in these agencies, an effort to potentially sabotage the next president of the United States because the wrong guy won. Listen, I was in the secure briefing in September 2016, before the election, when we had Lisa Monaco, the security person in the White House, James Comey, and Jay Johnson. And the whole point was to inform the leadership and committee chairman of the Intelligence Committee and Homeland Security Committees that the Russians had attempted to interfere in our election. But the whole tone of that meeting, I've actually had this in testimony before my committee, exactly what they were trying to do. They wanted to assure us that we've got this covered. You know, DHS is working with the states. This is going to be a legitimate election. What we want you as members of Congress to do is go out and basically reinforce what we're going to say, that we've got this covered. It's a legitimate election. That was in September 2016. The problem is, from their standpoint, the wrong person won, and then all of a sudden, this is the biggest threat to our democracy, which, by the way, it is not. Russia has very limited capability of affecting our elections from a standpoint of vote tally or even voter files. There are all kinds of controls in place. The biggest problem is if the American people believe the election is illegitimate, well, we're doing Putin's work for him from that standpoint.
When President Trump says 3 million votes or whatever there was, all these illegal votes, is that providing legitimacy?
I'm not going to defend somewhat the indefensible. I'm just
talking.
But
we're talking about the legitimacy and the impression that the American people have. That is certainly. I mean, you know, perception is reality, Senator. And when the president stands up and says those kinds of things, he is perpetuating the very thing that you're criticizing right now.
Now, again, what I'm saying is we were being told this is going to be a legitimate election until the wrong person, from their standpoint, won. And then all of a sudden, this is the greatest threat to our democracy, which I don't believe it was. The election in November of 2016 was legitimate. The vote tallies were accurate. Yes, President Trump lost the popular vote, but
won the Electoral College.
The vote is about the Electoral College. So you play the game by the rules. You run the election based on what it is, and he won the electoral vote.
But Ron, I'm not questioning whether or not he won the electoral tally. I'm not questioning the legitimacy of the election that enshrined Donald Trump. I'm questioning whether
Mike,
actors in his campaign were colluding with foreign countries, be it Russia, be it the Emirates.
But others are to make sure that this president can't be successful. There's been an effort, I believe, since the day after the election to sabotage this president.
But, sir, he has the Congress, he has the Senate. Some would say he has the Supreme Court. He is the chief executive, sir. How are we stopping you?
He doesn't have the press. And you know how powerful the press is. You know how powerful the press is.
The corrupt press?
Yeah,
the crooked media, Ron?
Listen, I get along with the press. I treat them with respect. I think they are incredibly important to our democracy.
Absolutely.
Well, we're not press. We're good guys. Much like yourself.
Sure you are, Mike.
I am a good guy.
I know, I'm kidding.
Contrary to popular belief. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, he's a good guy, contrary to popular belief. So, Ron, just for point of clarity, on Spygate, I'm going to put you down for investigate Hillary's emails then, sir?
No, listen, there are a lot of questions about what happened through the campaign and then beyond it, between the election and the inauguration. I've got legitimate questions. Why is Clapper out there trying to put Comey up to talking to, briefing the president so they can use that as a hook so we can get out the whole Steele dossier? Listen, you can take a look at the evidence. This is incredibly complex, which is why it's difficult to talk about. But you take a look at the evidence, and you can say, this really was a setup, okay? So I'm not saying it was, but I'm saying there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And my problem is this entire investigation is completely backwards. I think in this kind of political investigation, the first priority is the public has to know what happened. That is congressional committee investigations and reports. The type of investigation where the public doesn't get information is a special counsel in a criminal investigation. And that's what consumes all the information, prevents us from getting the information, which is why I've only got a few dozen puzzle pieces and Mueller's got 300, but nobody knows what's pulling off.
What about?
So all these theories, all this speculation runs wild, and we are dealing with Iran and North Korea and Russia and China and all these other enormous problems. Our debt and deficit's not being addressed. We're obviously not addressing the harm done by Obamacare. That's what we need to address. But all this other thing is noise. and it's consuming.
Well, we addressed the deficit. The tax bill that was passed is going to increase the deficit, but we
not
had
with economic growth.
If it happens, we had
dynamic scoring.
We had
a mere 0.4% increase.
A House Intelligence Committee came out with their report, and the Senate came out with their report, and they conflict.
Yeah, the Senate has not come out with their full report by any stretch of the imagination.
They came out with statements that conflicted with what the House says.
I know. Again, it's kind of piecemeal reports. I want to see the full report. I'm really looking forward to the Inspector General's report on the whole Hillary Clinton email scandal. That ought to be pretty revealing.
What about Mueller's report on whether or not there was perhaps obstruction, whether or not there was collusion, sir? What about Donald Trump going on NBC with Lester Holt and saying, I fired James Comey to relieve the pressure on Russia. And now today, sir...
Probably wasn't the smartest interview he gave, but...
But today he denies that, Ron.
I would say a president of the United States probably can do obstruction of justice. You know, for example, I think Nixon was talking about paying people off. There's an overt act. I don't believe a president of the United States can obstruct justice carrying out his constitutional duty.
Meaning he has the right...
He's got the complete right to fire
the FBI director.
He's got the right to direct his agency heads to do certain things as well. That's his constitutional duty. Now, there's certainly an electoral price he might pay for that, but not a criminal one. I don't think if he's actually conducting his constitutional power that he can be indicted on things like obstruction of justice. Now, again, like Nixon, if you pay people off, that is he's not obviously conducting his constitutional powers, paying people off not to talk. You know, which is kind of what...
Are we exempting Stormy Daniels from this conversation? Because he literally paid people off not to talk, Ron.
That's a completely different situation.
What? How is it different? I mean,
when's the Stormy hearing, Ron?
He disclosed the payment to his attorney
That's a civil issue. It's a civil issue.
It's a civil issue.
If it's a campaign finance law violation, is there any parallel to the fact that, I mean, hell, the guy issued Dinesh D'Souza, got a pardon today. He's talking about pardoning Blagojevich.
So one thing you got to give...
Ron, are you down for pardoning Blagojevich, sir?
First of all, one thing you have to credit Trump for is he's pardoning people when he can still be held accountable in the next election. Most presidents hold out their pardons, like Mark Rich, maybe. Remember that?
Oh,
sure.
Oh, yeah, I do.
At the very end of their presidency, where they can't be held politically accountable. Trump is doing it right now, very overtly, and say, "Well, you can hold me accountable in the next election." Give him at least. So again, whether you express opinion, whether you like the pardon or not, at least he's doing it up front, and he'll be. And that's, by the way, the right way to do this is hold any president accountable in the election process.
Ron, here's my little conspiracy theory. He's just trying to soften the American public up for the fact when he issues a pardon to Michael Cohen, because he clearly violated campaign finance laws when he paid hush money to Stormy Daniels.
Listen, I was completely supportive of his pardon for Scooter Libby.
Scooter Libby?
Scooter Libby, yeah.
He's the one that actually disclosed Valerie Plame's identity.
No, he didn't. No, he got caught up in process crime. Richard Armitage disclosed that, and special counsel knew within three days, and they still continued. And that's the problem with special counsels. They just go off in all kinds of different directions, and they convict people of process crimes, which is unfortunate.
Paul Singer, the Washington Free Beacon guy, funded Fusion GPS initially, and he also a big donor to your pal Scott Walker, Ron.
Not that I'm not aware that he funded the Steele dossier. That was Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Well, he did.
And that was the one. That was the one that was used to get the FISA warrant that has created all this.
I thought that was
the Steele dossier. Wasn't that turned over to the FBI by John McCain? That was my understanding.
Well, McCain did turn it over, but the investigation, the FBI investigation, only in part had anything to do with the Steele dossier. What about George Papadopoulos? It's right in Nunez's footnotes.
There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of complexity here. I think it's probably, in the end, a very simple story, but we need the piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Well, I got a beautiful mind. I'll lay it all out for the people when we come back. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, our fine guest on Brady. More Devil's Advocates after this short break.
How could your wife think there's a 1% chance you were with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow?
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Tune in to the Devil's Advocates this Friday, June 1st, for the official kickoff of the election season. Special expanded coverage from the Democratic Party Convention live from Oshkosh. Dom and Crute are Radio Row, and we have all the best friends. Commentary until 6, all the gubernatorial candidate and congressional Dem speeches as Resistance Radio brings you exclusive coverage until dark. That's this Friday, 3 to 8:30, an exclusive production of the Devil's Advocates and Resistance Radio, 1510 a.m., 1580 a.m., and streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Saturday, June 2nd from 12 to 4 p.m. Join Earl Ingram, Rep. Joe Casas-Amaripa, and Resistance Radio from the Valley Victory Broad Fry, the Democratic Convention's postgame party from the Midnight Club in Oshkosh. Union sponsors include Northeast Wisconsin Building and Construction Trades, Fox Valley Area Labor Council Painters Local Council 7, Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 400, introducing 80-plus Wisconsin Democratic legislative candidates. Tune in Resistance Radio Saturday for the political event of the year. Join the party and get a brat for the road.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the lines, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, got to find guests coming soon. Sabrina Singh from the DNC. We got a Republican U.S. Senator in studio for a few more minutes.
By the way, that grass-fed, my wife showed me the hamburger and half tonight. It was grass-fed and grass-finished, which is the way to do it, apparently.
And then you smoke a little grass and it tastes yummy, sir.
Good. Well, no, I'm just going to eat the hamburger.
Ron, I tried to ask you during the commercial break about the Republican convention happened here in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. A big U.S. Senate race. You'd like to be joined by another Republican.
It'd be really nice not to have my vote canceled out. Yeah, somebody else who actually values freedom and reduce regulation and competitive taxes, and that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, don't get me started, or I'll ask you about that 7th Circuit Court seat you held vacant for 6 years. But here's my question:
held vacant first for a year by Cole and Feingold and Obama. Okay. Let's be honest about this.
Tammy Baldwin's blue slip got run over by
I
Mitch
returned
McConnell,
I returned my blue slip on Don Schott. I am righteous on this one. This was obstruction by others, not me.
I didn't even want to go there. I want to ask you about Vukmir Nicholson. Vukmir, the choice, the inside baseball choice, very much supported amongst the caucus.
No, the grassroots of Wisconsin's choice. I mean, listen, the folks that come to Republican Party of Wisconsin conventions are solid conservatives. They are the grassroots. There's nothing establishment about them. Trust me.
Is there anything warm and fuzzy about Leah Vukmir? I've yet to see it, sir. But I'm asking you. You know her better than I.
Well, one thing I found out about Leah. This is all happenstance, but my daughter had the transposition of the great arteries at birth, and you piece it all together. Leah had to be one of her nurses at the ICU back in 1983. So Leah's a nurse. I think one of the things that people want is they want people that care about them. I don't think there's a better example of somebody who cares for other people than a nurse. Now, on the same side, you got Kevin Nichols, set up, went to both, I think, Afghanistan and Iraq to preserve our freedom. So that's a pretty good thing. I'd be happy to serve with either. I personally would like to see the one candidate sooner rather than later.
Could I put you down for team torture or team terrorist, Ron?
Not going to comment.
The ad. It was a terrible ad.
Ron Johnson, a good guest, a friend of ours. Thank you so much for joining us, Ron. We'll be around your house about bar time tomorrow night.
We'll be gone.
All right, then. We can get the king bed.
Senator, thanks for coming down to our studio.
You're going to share it?
Most importantly, thanks for bringing beer, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Ryan. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
Danny, this isn't Russia. Is this Russia?
Hello, friends. Tom Alonzi from Teamsters Local 200. Local 200 has union members from up north in Fond du Lac all the way down to the Illinois state line, from the shores of Lake Michigan out to Waukesha. Here's a fact. Teamster union members negotiate living wages and affordable health care benefits where they work with their union representative. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Trade war threat, friendship, and collaboration. I'm Michael Toscano.
These tariffs are an affront to the long-standing security partnership between Canada and the United States.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau upset the Trump administration has levied tariffs on steel and aluminum from allied nations.
The American administration has made a decision today that we deplore, and obviously is going to lead to retaliatory measures, as it must, but we regret that.
Canada joining Mexico and the European Union in levying tens of billions of dollars of tariffs on a wide range of American-made products. The U.S. getting a friendlier response today from North Korea as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo wrapped up what he says were very positive talks with the top North Korean official in New York.
We think that, working together, the people of the United States and North Korea can create a future defined by friendship and collaboration.
But Pompeo wouldn't say a summit between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un will definitely happen. President Trump is issuing a pardon for conservative writer Dinesh D'Souza, who pleaded guilty to campaign finance violations. And correspondent Jeff Zeleny tells us the president says more are in the works.
The president talking openly about the possibility of even more pardons for Martha Stewart and a commutation for former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, in what could be a signal to the president's friends caught up in the Russia investigation.
Stewart convicted of lying to the FBI, Blagojevich behind bars for corruption. Susan Nyland of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says the manhunt continues for the suspect in the shooting death of Dixon County Deputy Sheriff Daniel Baker.
Stephen Wiggins can be anywhere. We don't know where he is. There's not a specific area we're looking for. It's very imperative for everyone to keep their eyes, their ears open for this individual.
Increasing fears of a trade war taking a toll on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average finished the day down 252 points. The S&P 500 dropped 19 and the NASDAQ lost 20. I'm Michael.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, it's my job to make sure your network is up 99.999% of the time. Technology is constantly evolving, and keeping your business up to date in an ever-changing environment can be a hassle. At Five Nines, we're here to help. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. Better IT gives your business a competitive advantage. Learn how Five Nines can help at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
/free. Extreme heat is being felt across parts of the South. Triple-digit temperatures arriving earlier than normal.
The first string of 100-degree weather days in Texas and surrounding states doesn't typically come until July, but triple digits are expected through the weekend in the Lone Star State into Oklahoma. Rocky Vaz is the emergency management coordinator for the city of Dallas and says a level 2 heat alert is in effect through Saturday.
Whenever we have extended days of temperature about 100 degrees during the daytime and close to 80 during evening, night hours. We put this plan together.
Cooling stations with water and shelter are available across North Texas, and Vaz is recommending staying indoors and drinking lots of water. Clayton Neville, Dallas.
An Allegiant Airlines pilot has had a seizure during a flight from Cincinnati to Punta Gorda, Florida, forcing the plane to be diverted to Gainesville, Florida. It landed safely. The pilot now hospitalized in stable condition. I'm Michael Toscano.
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. A good friend of ours, a fine sponsor He's Lenny Mattioli. He's crazy e-bike Lenny, and he's always selling e-bikes. Lenny, welcome back to the show, man. I got to tell you, I've been missing your ads on the radio. What happened, Lenny?
Any potential advertisers that were considering using Devil's Advocate, listen to this. We ran an ad 10 days. We sold every one. Every single one.
The Devil's Advocates.
Merchandising!
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Many Democrats and voting rights groups are asking why it has taken 16 months so far for an appeals court made up entirely of Republican-appointed judges to rule on Wisconsin's voter ID laws. Critics say the court may try to delay the decision until after the November election. In a related development, the state recently sued a voter rights group in an effort to prevent it from contacting voters who have found it difficult to get a state ID that would allow them to vote. Litigation over the voter ID law has been going on since shortly after it was approved 7 years ago. Outside for this afternoon, mostly sunny, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, highs in the low 60s in the Milwaukee area, mid-70s in the Madison area. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Hour 2. Want to thank our most recent guest, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. Let me say something nice. He always brings good beer.
Thank you, Ron.
And welcome to a new guest. She is Sabrina Singh, Deputy Comms Director with the Democratic National Committee. Sabrina, welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Hey, thanks for having me on today. I'm super excited to be joining you. This is my first time on the show, so very excited to chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Sabrina.
Well, I'd like to clarify the record. We just had Ron Johnson. There is perhaps not a more ACA oppositional senator in the United States than Ron Johnson. But some of the numbers, the people are very concerned about the tinkering that Republicans have done to Obamacare. And we now understand that premiums are probably on the rise, no thanks to the Republicans. They can pretend like this is Obama's fault, but quite frankly, they own this problem now. What do you think the DNC's attitude should be about Obamacare? We don't talk about it as much as we used to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it with Senator Ron Johnson is a stalwart advocate of repealing all parts of the ACA. Certainly Democrats, the DNC included, does not support that belief. We believe, and the law of the land, which is the Affordable Care Act, is supposed to give insurance and affordable insurance to everyone and provide quality access as well. And what the Republicans have done, and they've been led by, Donald Trump in this, is they're playing games with the market. They have failed to deliver their promise on making healthcare more affordable and accessible. Their ongoing sabotage of the ACA has not only caused premiums to rise, and not only in Wisconsin, but we're seeing it across in Virginia, in Maryland, and in Vermont. Today, a new study in Rhode Island showed that premiums are going to go up by another few percentage points by 2019. This administration and Republicans like Ron Johnson have made it more difficult to enroll in coverage. And as a result, Trump's first year in office has seen the largest increase in the number of uninsured Americans since the ACA's implementation. That is the Republican legacy. That is what they are leaving on the table when voters go to the polls in November. And, if you're a family in Wisconsin, you're trying to put food on the table for your family, you're trying to pay your bills, the last thing you want to have to worry about is, your health insurance, your kids' health insurance, your friends. And so it's really, I think, a gross display of governing when the ACA is the law of the land and you're doing everything in your power to make it more difficult for people to get health insurance. So I know Ron Johnson has differing views, but that is just not where the Democrats stand. And I think people are going to hold Republicans like, the senator and others in your state accountable in November.
Sabrina, we've got listeners in Virginia. We got friends in Virginia. Mm-hmm. Virginia elected themselves a Democratic governor, and suddenly they've instituted, perhaps not suddenly, that might be a mischaracterization, but they're expanding Medicaid to 400,000 Virginians. We would have the very same option, perhaps not as many affected, but we would have the very same option here in the state of Wisconsin if it weren't for the governance of guys like Scott Walker. Sabrina, what do you think? Is it safe for states to expand? Should even Republican states, currently Republican-led states like Wisconsin, still be expanding Medicaid?
Absolutely. States absolutely should be expanding Medicaid. There are, as you said, in Virginia, 400,000 people, 400,000 low-income Virginians are going to have access to health care. There are many people across the country, Ohio, Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, that, they deserve quality care. And what Virginia showed us yesterday, which I think brings it all home, is that elections really matter. Medicaid expansion would not have passed in Virginia if we had not elected 15 Democrats to the House of Delegates in 2017. I mean, we came within a seat of flipping the chamber, or at least getting a tied chamber. And so, Governor McAuliffe fought for years to give Virginians the health care that they deserve, and now Governor Northam is carrying on, the McAuliffe torch and is delivering for Virginians. I think it is a mistake of Republican governors to not expand Medicaid in their states. I think, John Cusick and others have done it in their states, and I think that as the Democratic Party and as a representative of the DNC, we certainly believe healthcare is a right for everyone. It shouldn't just be a privilege for those that can afford it. And so what we saw in Virginia is Democratic leadership improving the lives of Virginians and people in this country.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Got a fine guest live via phone. She is Sabrina Singh. She is the Deputy Communications Director at the DNC. Sabrina, your outfit passed along a The Hill report. I'm going to quote from it briefly. This one quotes a Gallup poll. 55% of those polled said they worry a great deal about the cost and availability of healthcare in the U.S., while 23% said they worry about the issue a fair amount. That's like 78% of the voters have some concerns about the affordability of healthcare, yet with the rapidly changing news cycles, Donald Trump tweeting daily, I'm not sure if these conversations are being had publicly, perhaps with the same sort of earnestness that the electorate might feel for this issue.
Sure. I think it's a great question and something really important. What we saw in Virginia was that healthcare was the number one issue that turned out voters and why people went out to go vote for Ralph Northam. We've seen candidates, Democratic candidates, running on healthcare, running on expanding and protecting and making healthcare more affordable. So I don't think the conversation is going to shift away from healthcare at all, but it is on the Democratic Party. It is on our candidates and our incumbent, congressional members and senators to always keep talking about what Republicans are doing and holding them accountable. I think that, as you mentioned, Donald Trump tweeting can certainly change the news cycle. We in the news are not nearly enough talking about healthcare, about the GOP tax plan that is having devastating effects on everyone, but from farmers to working class folks across the country. And, we're not talking about what's going on in Puerto Rico because Donald Trump, is demanding an apology from Bob Iger. And unfortunately, Donald Trump's tweets drive the news, and that's why it is so important on the Democratic Party and for all Democrats to stay focused, to talk about the issues that people care about. You and I, we might check Twitter. The first thing that we do in the morning is, see if Donald Trump tweets, but that is not what the average American is checking. They want, an economy that's working for them. They want job security, and they want, affordable health care. So we are definitely going to keep talking about it and definitely going to raise awareness on just what the Republicans have done to the ACA to make things more costly.
Sabrina, I have evolved on this issue the more I've read and learned about it, and the older I get. And I wonder about my Republican friends and my free market capitalist friends. It seems they're fine with socializing the loss, and the loss in healthcare being those that are, sickly, those that are elderly. They're fine with having some sort of governmental healthcare for them, but those that are not in this system, not in those categories, and perhaps a little healthier and not using the system, quote unquote, as much, those folks, well, we're fine right now as we stand in this country with allowing the insurance companies to collect massive premiums on those people. And then when they get sick, if they're before the ACA, if there's some sort of caps, well, of course, they have to go bankrupt. And what does that do? Well, that puts the onus on everybody else to cover those costs. Once again, socializing the loss and privatizing the profit. So I've come along and think, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't think the insurance companies are looking out for the citizens' best interest. That's what the government is supposed to be for. So if there were to be some sort of Medicare for all, I think I could get behind that. My concern is cost. Does the DNC, what's your position on a Medicare for all, and is there some solution that we can have that wouldn't bankrupt the country in doing so?
Sure. Well, I think if we are ever going to talk about Medicare for all or changing our healthcare system, the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we actually have Democrats in power. So that is not even on. We don't control the House or Senate or the White House right now. So we are very close, I think, to taking back the House this November. We have a really strong shot at flipping the chamber. We could potentially flip the Senate as well. And then, we're going to have to really work hard to take back the White House in 2020. And until we do that, that is when change happens. And we're kind of playing the long game here. We have to make sure that our folks are turning out to actually vote and elect Democrats. So those that are in support of things like Medicare for all or any other changes to our system, that they put those people in power to make those changes for them. In terms of where we are right now, I mean, the DNC is supportive of our Democrats running on, making healthcare affordable. And we are certainly going to support our Democrats in Wisconsin. I know you guys have a state convention coming up this weekend, which is really exciting. Yeah, and so, Democrats are really focused on, trying to stabilize our markets, trying to make life easier for folks across the country. And the only way we can do that is if we elect Democrats this November.
Sabrina, almost out of time. I got to tell you, it's an off-topic question, but I did ask Ron Johnson, and I've heard lots of talk about Spygate, this newest conspiracy theory being propagated by Donald Trump. But here's one of the things they keep saying. The DNC would not release the server for the FBI to do a thorough investigation, and that makes it all, somehow conspiratorial. Is there a company line on this? Is there any rationale or reason that has been publicly offered by the DNC as to why the server was not turned over to the FBI?
Oh, I mean, I feel like that is such a longer question to answer. We have certainly, well, I can say this. I was not here when the DNC was hacked. However, I know that we worked with the FBI. We turned over all the necessary information that they, in fact, wanted and needed. And, you know, what I think we need to really focus on here is what you said, is that the administration is putting out, you know, terms like Spygate and saying that there were informants embedded in the campaign. I mean, this administration, you know, the White House demands apologies. Sometimes they get them, but doesn't apologize. They demand corrections. Sometimes they get corrections, but then they don't correct their many lies that they put out, their falsehoods. So I think we have to remember exactly who this is coming from. You know, Donald Trump today literally tweeted that he didn't fire James Comey over the Russia investigation, but gave, it is on tape, an interview with Lester Holt saying that he fired James Comey over the Russia investigation. So I just think we have to kind of take a step back here and realize that this, unfortunately, this administration really doesn't care about the facts. And the fact is that the DNC, you know, has been compliant with the FBI. We were the victims of a hack. And, you know, it's just really disappointing to see an administration that keeps putting out false information. And, you know, all I can say is that the DNC is going to keep holding this administration accountable and making sure Americans have the facts that are the truth. So when they go to the polls in November, they are armed with the truth and will hopefully be voting for Democrats.
Sabrina Singh, Deputy Communications Director, Democratic National Committee, thank you so much. Very nice to have met you. We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, you know, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team?
Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on them anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
I got a joint here, man. I've been saving for a special occasion.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening. 844-967-2789. Thank you, Sabrina Singh, Deputy Communications Director at the DNC. Let's get some callers in while we have some time here. David from Mequon, you are up. Thanks for calling, David. What do you got today?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I first want to say I'm really glad that you are able to put Senator Ron Johnson on your radio station for the simple reason I think makes for great radio, and the fact that I think having different viewpoints is very healthy for conversations. And I was going to say, in regards with Ron Johnson, the one thing I'll just point out, so 2 weeks ago, we didn't know about anything about who this informant was. And it turns out this Mr. Halper was the same guy that did the same kind of thing when Reagan was president, doing stuff for Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it a coincidence? I don't think so. I think the bottom line is he was paid by the FBI, which is kind of messed up because you think about it, if he was actually a mole within the campaign, he was doing this before they even had to open an investigation. So technically that would be considered, okay, yeah, you are kind of doing some kind of odd things here. And 2 weeks ago, like I said, we didn't know anything about him. Now, if we look a little bit more in the history with this guy, I mean, that's where I would start to question. Okay.
But David, was not the impetus on the Trump team? Do they not have Google? They couldn't have Googled this guy. I mean, it seems so obvious to all these conservatives that I've talked to or listened to on the radio.
Right.
Well, if you used a simple Google, you're like, well, hell, we're not hiring this guy. We're not going to be advised by this guy.
Right.
He's got a shady history.
Right. Well, again, obviously, I never claimed that, Donald Trump is a smart man. I mean, the bottom line is that there is some weird stuff going on here with what was going on with all the different various people. And I do think there is something to it in the fact that, again, he was paid by the FBI. It wasn't really kind of talked about, and now as time goes on, more and more information's coming out.
Sorry, I got to cut you short there, David. Yeah, there was an investigation because Trump was colluding with the Russians to, mess with our elections. That's my opinion, David.
Maybe it wasn't
your call.
Trump, but it was certainly most of Trump's campaign team, his son, his son-in-law.
Not Trump.
Come back with us, Jodi Habush Sinykin, attorney for Midwest Environmental Advocates.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound.
But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Believe me, there is no collusion. Believe me.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Many Democrats and voting rights groups are asking why it has taken 16 months so far for an appeals court made up entirely of Republican-appointed judges to rule on Wisconsin's voter ID laws. Critics say the court may try to delay the decision until after the November election. In a related development, the state recently sued a voter rights group in an effort to prevent it from contacting voters who have found it difficult to get a state ID that would allow them to vote. Litigation over the voter ID law has been going on since shortly after it was approved 7 years ago. Outside for this afternoon, mostly sunny, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, highs in the low 60s in the Milwaukee area, mid-70s in the Madison area. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates, so relevant they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we welcome a guest. A fine one indeed. Looks like she's ready.
Good, yes.
Jodi Habush Sinykin. I hope I got that right. She is the attorney for Midwest Environmental Advocates. Jodi, welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jodi.
Jodi, my understanding is you, on behalf of your organization, in conjunction with some other organizations, have, well, why don't you tell us? What have you done? What are you asking the DNR of the state of Wisconsin to do?
Okay, and the short answer is that Midwest Environmental Advocates filed a legal challenge last Friday on behalf of a number of petitioners, both in Wisconsin and Minnesota, to require the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to challenging their approval of the City of Racine's diversion application, which has been requested to supply the FoxCONn facility.
So just so I understand the venue here, is this filed with the courts or is this a direct action filed with the DNR?
It's filed with the DNR. The Great Lakes Compact, which was enacted in 2008, it's a regional agreement that was enacted in federal law, but it represents the 8 Great Lakes states and the 2 Canadian provinces, and it has a number of provisions, a whole list of requirements and criteria, and one of them is when there is a challenge to a decision by one of the parties. In this case, it's Wisconsin is one of the parties to the compact. It must first go through that state's administrative and judicial process, and that's why we filed with first the DNR.
Jodi, it seems as if the Wisconsin DNR, the Walker administration, on behalf of FoxCONn, has effectively tried to do an end around on the spirit of the Great Lakes Compact for those that would divert water from the Great Lakes. It's supposed to be for primarily residential use. This current diversion does not meet that definition.
That is what we are concerned about, and the reason for our legal challenge. The Great Lakes Compact, of many purposes of conservation and sustainable management of the Great Lakes for the future, it has at its centerpiece a ban on diversions of Great Lakes water outside the Great Lakes Basin. That includes to Nevada, New Mexico, California, Texas, you name it. But it also includes other areas outside the basin, but it does allow for 3 limited exceptions. The exception that applies here would be a diversion to an out-of-basin area near a straddling community, and that is what is being attempted here. The Village of Mount Pleasant, which does not have its own municipal water system, has a portion of the village is outside the Great Lakes Basin, and it is there that the FoxCONn facility will there be requesting a 7 million gallons per day diversion of Lake Michigan water.
And we know that the community of Waukesha went through the normalized process. They were granted a diversion. And why is Waukesha different than this current proposal on behalf of FoxCONn?
Well, it's different in 2 reasons, but there's 2 different reasons. One is Waukesha is a community located within a straddling county. The county of Waukesha straddles the Great Lakes divide. So in that particular case, there is a requirement for that exception to be fulfilled for there to be agreement between the 8 Great Lakes states that the diversion is appropriate. When it comes to requests by straddling communities like New Berlin, which was approved years ago, which is partly within and partly outside the basin, those requests do not require the unanimous approval of the 8 Great Lakes states, but rather the originating party, in this case Wisconsin. It is that approval that matters, and that's how it's different in the Waukesha case. But interestingly, both in the Waukesha diversion approval and the City of New Berlin straddling community diversion approval of years back, both of those interpreted the public water supply purposes requirement consistent with the way that we and our petitioners are, namely that the diversion would go to supply a group of primarily residential customers rather than one single industrial complex.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. We're speaking with Jodi Habush Sinykin. She's an attorney with Midwest Environmental Advocates. They have filed a formal challenge last Friday against the Department of Natural Resources over their decision to allow the city of Racine to divert millions of gallons of water from Lake Michigan for FoxCONn. Jodi, the proposal says, 7 million gallons a day and perhaps, 2 to 3 million gallons lost to evaporation. Does the amount of water being taken out of the lake have any impact on this case?
Well, it is relevant to the extent that it is the amount of diverted water that we need to focus on. that subset, not the entire public water supply system of Racine, for example, but that 7 million gallons is the diversion amount. And it is that amount of water that we need to follow to see if it is serving a group of primarily residential customers or instead serving one industrial customer, one private customer. And that is what we need to examine to see if the public water supply purposes requirement of the Great Lakes Compact is being met or not.
So how does the process work on this, Jodi? You filed this with the DNR. I mean, this is the governor's administration. If they tell you to pound sand, what do you do? What are the steps? How does this go? I understand there was legislation passed recently to throw these kinds of cases up to the Supreme Court more readily, quicker than normal. What's the process?
Well, the process, this is really the first time. This is precedent setting in terms of this is the first time the compact or an originating party's application is being challenged, judicially speaking. So the process, as we understand it under the compact, is that it first must exhaust the administrative proceedings of the state of Wisconsin. So it would be assigned to an administrative law judge. From there, it will go to a circuit court in Wisconsin. Then, if of course needed, would to go to the Court of Appeals. And there is this expedited process that you referred to per this special legislation that would expedite the process to the state Supreme Court if it comes to that.
And as precedent, Jodi, if for some reason this goes through the process and it gets denied, what impact do you think that would have on this truly an international agreement for the Great Lakes?
When you say denied, if
you lose,
denied?
yes. If the Midwest Environmental Advocates and your other associates that you are filing this grievance with, if you fail in this endeavor, what does that do? What does that mean for this compact?
I think it would be a wound to the compact. The compact is only as good as its provisions are interpreted and strictly upheld, of course. In this case, one of the three exceptions to the ban on diversions would be significantly weakened and opened up to diversions to these private entities rather than public customers. It would still, of course, persevere the compact, but we feel, and so many in Wisconsin and in the region feel the compact is very precious. It's important, especially in these times of increasing global water scarcity, not just across the globe, but in our own country, especially in the western states. We need to do everything we can to uphold and strengthen the compact, not do things that weaken it for own short-term reasons.
Jodi, Journal Sentinel out of Milwaukee reporting there are going to be 1,000 dump truck loads per day of gravel. They're going to start building this FoxCONn campus earnestly. What would success look like on behalf of MEA?
Success would look like an enunciation or a declaration by the court that the interpretation of this public water supply purpose of Wisconsin DNR needs to be reassessed, that it is incorrect. And by no means does this mean that the FoxCONn project cannot go forward. It must just go forward in keeping with the Great Lakes Compact. This whole compact could have been avoided at the outset, of course, if there had been more mindful siting requirements met to where they were going to put or place this particular facility in mind, in view of the Great Lakes Compact. Because that wasn't done, there are measures that can be taken to correct and bring the project in conformance with the Great Lakes Compact.
Jodi, any other concerns about the pollution that would be, involved in this FoxCONn plant? Seems like Scott Walker has rolled back most of the protections for the environment. Obviously, this might be about more than simple diversion of water.
That would involve a step forward or the next stage of events in terms of what kind of permit would be for discharging the water used and then treated by FoxCONn, and in this case, City of Racine. It is a really important consideration, and I can't even tell you how many folks have been writing in with concerns about this. The understanding about the technological processes that FoxCONn uses to create these screens, there are significant contamination concerns in other parts of the world that we and others have heard about. And that is something that I agree with you. All of us need to watchdog, because 7 million gallons a day of water that isn't appropriately and safely treated is undeniably a cause for concern. But it is something separate from the particular challenge that we have moving forward at this juncture.
Jodi, understanding that FoxCONN's full speed ahead on this project, do you think that is prudent on their behalf? I understand that this may not block them from building, but could you see a result in the courts or a rationale to block FoxCONN from proceeding?
It's a really good question. It is up to them to assess the risks, and of course it is based on the information that they are told. Much of the possible leeway is where they are putting what particular processes in terms of the water usage, and we do not have the details of that. I don't believe anyone in the public knows what facilities are going to go within and outside the Basin Divide. So I am not clear on what that construction is involving in terms of how it relates to this challenge. That's for details to come out in the future, I would expect.
Jodi Habush Sinykin, attorney for Midwest Environmental Advocates, thank you so much for helping us start to understand all the complexities involved in this FoxCONN deal. Jodi, thank you so much for joining us on the Devil's Advocates today.
I appreciate talking with you today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jodi.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Dom, you were at the press conference. I should have let you lead that interview.
No, it's a hell of a thing, and I love the fact that they actually went out there, had this press conference. People are concerned, and I think
on the lake shore they had the press
on
conference.
the lake shore, yes, in front of our beautiful Lake Michigan. This is a concern, and I appreciate Jodi and Midwest Environmental Advocates, League of Women Voters, lots of people involved in this, looking for some answers. They could have put this thing, cited it properly. We wouldn't be having this particular conversation.
You know, Dom, I think we could solve a lot of Wisconsin's problems with a big flush involving Scott Walker. We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back, but the phone lines, we're opening them to you. Done with guest, except for you at 844-967-2789.
Sweeping landscapes will inspire young Americans to dream beyond the horizon. Cattle will graze along the open range, and the world will stand in awe.
Hello, friends. Tom Malanzi here from Teamsters Local 200. Here's a fact. United States Labor Department statistics show union workers receive, on average, 30% more in pay and benefits than non-union workers doing the same job. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on, and he gets off and he makes a speech. But, he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy. Okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Tune in to the Devil's Advocates this Friday, June 1st, for the official kickoff of the election season. Special expanded coverage from the Democratic Party Convention live from Oshkosh. Dom and Crew are Radio Row, and we have all the best friends. Commentary until 6, all the gubernatorial candidate and congressional Dem speeches as Resistance Radio brings you exclusive coverage on Dem.com.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Saturday, June 2nd from 12 to 4 p.m. Join Earl Ingram, Rep. Joe Casas-Amaripa, and Resistance Radio from the Valley Victory Broad Fry, the Democratic Convention's postgame party from the Midnight Club in Oshkosh. Union sponsors include Northeast Wisconsin Building and Construction Trades, Fox Valley Area Labor Council Painters Local Council 7, Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 400, introducing 80-plus Wisconsin Democratic legislative candidates. Tune in Resistance Radio Saturday for the political event of the year. Join the party and get a brat for the road.
The Devil's Advocates. We drink when we toast. We toast when we drink.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming on the YouTube and Facebook pages. You can hit us up on Twitter at Devil Radio and the party line to talk or text 844-967-2789.
Is it the happy hour yet?
It's close.
Want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one indeed, Jodi Habush Sinykin. She is the attorney, Midwest Environmental Advocates. Want to stay on this FoxCONn topic at least for a few more minutes, Dom. Ready to rumble, says the Journal Sentinel. 1,000 dump truck loads of gravel a day headed to FoxCONn. Are you sure? It's not dump trucks full of money.
Oh, no.
Our Wisconsin taxpayer money.
No.
To be more specific. Rick Rommel, a battalion of gravel-laden dump trucks is poised to rumble through Racine County and onto the former farmland being prepared for a massive FoxCONn Technology Group manufacturing campus. Actually, it's more like an army, up to 1,000 truckloads a day, Dom. And they're going to have to ferry this gravel in, you know. It's not like they're even using local gravel.
It's part of the supply chain.
The dump trucks will begin rolling next week and will be allowed to run from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Enjoy your summer, Racine County. Are you kidding me? Gilbane Building Corp. Company and MW Group from the construction management team, what'd they say? Most of the gravel or aggregate will be delivered through the end of the year with a peak hauling period lasting about 3 months this summer.
All summer. That's entirely
all summer long.
Yep.
The summer of gravel and FoxCONn. And fall, you know, got to get it done before the elections, Dom. Said Adam Jalen, Senior Vice President from Gilbane Building Corp. Now I'll read it in order. Gilbane Building Corp. and MW Group from the construction management team for the $10 billion FoxCONn project. Ultimately, about 1.5 million tons of aggregate. That's 3 billion pounds. Damn, Dom, that's almost a pound for every dollar we're spending.
Not quite, but getting close.
Will be brought to the site mainly from quarries in New Berlin, Sussex, and Waterford. There will be a lot of trucks on the highway. There's no doubt about it, said George Schrader, owner of the Burlington Trucking Company that is among the hauling contractors. Dom, 1.5 million tons, 3 billion pounds of gravel. I'll go into FoxCONn, but we can't get the potholes filled.
There's going to be a lot of work, said Chris Albee, a sales and operations staffer with another contractor, Super Aggregates. Our owner has been in business over 40 years, and he has never seen anything like this. Super Aggregates already is fielding an average of 50 trucks a day for rebuilding the frontage roads along I-94, Albee said. He expects that to rise to 150 trucks a day when the FoxCONn work begins. The aggregate brought to the FoxCONn site will be laid down to form pads 1 to 3 feet thick on which all the buildings on the campus will be constructed, Jalen said. FoxCONn plans 22 million square feet of buildings. The scope of the project has created a construction industry buzz well beyond Wisconsin, Albee said. We're explaining to people what's going on, and they're just dumbfounded by the numbers. Delgrave said much of the aggregate, up to 500 truckloads a day, will come from western Racine County. All right, so there's some local suppliers. Those trucks will travel over Highway 11, a construction official said. The other trucks will use I-94, exiting at Highway 20 or Highway E. Good luck getting down to Chicago, folks. Once they are east of the interstate, trucks will follow various routes to the FoxCONn site, depending on their point of origin and the status of construction work on local roads. So they're going to have to make the local roads, you have to beef them up a little bit to get, 3 billion pounds of gravel to the site.
Like I said, FoxCONn gets their roads.
Yes,
they get their 3 billion tons, 3 billion pounds, 3 billion pounds.
Yes, pounds.
Of gravel. And we can't get the Scott holes filled out here.
No Scott holes. No. And the truckers, and we have another article here, don't have it in front of me. We're not going to have time to really get into it.
People don't even want the trucking jobs.
Chris Habush from the La Crosse Tribune, detour, Wisconsin farmers cope with new bridge restrictions. So the farmers, they're also getting a benefit from the manufacturing and agricultural tax credit here by the Republicans. But now they're going to, start running around. They can't use certain bridges, primarily in western Wisconsin, because we have such terrible infrastructure, because Governor Walker and the Republicans in the state have absolutely been beside themselves to do nothing. Nothing. Defer, kick the can.
Nothing is inaccurate, Dom. FoxCONn is getting shiny new roads with our money.
And you farmers here in Wisconsin, you get the shaft. And as per our last conversation with Jodi from the Midwest Environmental Advocates, why wasn't this cited differently?
Well, it was cited purposefully so they could skirt the Great Lakes Compact.
Why would you want to skirt the Great Lakes Compact? Why not
somebody
comply?
Might say no, and this is Scott Walker's re-election. He thought it was a touchdown? More like a Hail Mary. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates, turning perhaps towards the DPW convention. Democrats of all sorts going to Osh Vegas. We'll be the ones partying. I'll have the red party hat on. Dom, culottes. We'll be back in the happy hour. Stick around.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Trade war, summit progress. I'm Barbara Cusack. Wall Street doesn't like it, but the Trump administration is moving forward with tariffs on steel and aluminum from Canada, Mexico, and the European Union.
Canadian, Mexican, and European Union steel and aluminum products imported to the U.S. face a 25% and 10% tariff, respectively. The European Union has threatened retaliatory tariffs on U.S. food items especially, prompting Republican Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse to write critically of the move. This is dumb. Blanket protectionism is a big part of why America had a Great Depression. Make America great again shouldn't mean make America 1929 again. Bob Costantini, Washington.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says meetings in New York with a top North Korean official made real progress toward a proposed Singapore summit.
In my conversations with Chairman Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang, and today with Vice Chairman Kim Young-chol, I have been very clear that President Trump and the United States objective is very consistent and well known. The complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
President Trump spending the day in Texas.
The president started his day meeting with families of victims of the Santa Fe High School shooting, 2 weeks to the day since it took place. Then a fundraising lunch in Houston and a short flight to Dallas, where he'll attend a Republican fundraising dinner tonight at a downtown hotel. The dinner reportedly costs $35,000 a plate and $50,000 for VIP seating and a photo with the president. Clayton Neville, Dallas.
Wall Street analysts have placed the likelihood of Las Vegas casino workers going on strike as low. Analysts with Deutsche Bank say they believe negotiations between casino operators and a union could continue after contracts for 50,000 employees expire at midnight tonight. Stocks skid amid trade war concerns. The Dow lost 252 points, the S&P 500 down 19, and the Nasdaq dropped 20 points. I'm Barbara.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
491 Bible.
The top spellers face off tonight in the primetime finals of the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
16 spellers have advanced to the primetime finals, set for 8 o'clock Eastern Time, an unusually high number after a morning session that lasted 4.5 hours. The finals began with 41 spellers, and the number slowly dwindled over 5 rounds. At one point in the second round, 21 straight kids spelled their words correctly. 3 spellers who made the top 10 last year are still in it: Erin Howard, Nesa Modi, and Shrutika Padi. Tara Singh, making her 5th and final appearance in the Bee, will go to the primetime finals for the first time. I'm John Stolness.
Golden State hosts Cleveland tonight to begin the record fourth straight meeting between the teams in the championship round. In fact, it's the first time in NBA, NFL, MLB, or NHL history that the same teams are meeting 4 straight times in the championship round of play. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Many Democrats and voting rights groups are asking why it has taken 16 months so far for an appeals court made up entirely of Republican-appointed judges to rule on Wisconsin's voter ID laws. Critics say the court may try to delay the decision until after the November election. In a related development, the state recently sued a voter rights group in an effort to prevent it from contacting voters who have found it difficult to get a state ID that would allow them to vote. Litigation over the voter ID law has been going on since shortly after it was approved 7 years ago. Outside for this afternoon, mostly sunny, and then partly cloudy tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, highs in the low 60s in the Milwaukee area, mid-70s in the Madison area.
To the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour. Woo-hoo. The hour that's all about self-promotion and self-gratification.
There'll be none of that in the studio, Crudy. I don't want to watch that.
Come on, man. Get your mind out of the gutter. Let's talk about what's going on tomorrow. Dom, we're going on the road. This little show will be the Radio Row from Osh Vegas, Democratic Party of Wisconsin Convention. This is our tradition, Dom.
Is this our 4th or 5th year? How long have we been doing this?
I believe 2014 was our first, at least, full convention coverage event. That was the very year that Justice Barb Crabb, federal court judge Barb Crabb dropped the same-sex marriage ruling, and we were on the air, and that was literally, I mean, dude, we were fighting for 3 hours back then.
That was our first 3-hour show, wasn't it?
Our first 3-hour show was at the Democratic Party Convention, and that was a hotel resort casino, Dom. There was definitely some gambling tables.
Was it?
I think so. I think that was the Ho-Chunk year.
Okay. They all kind of blend together.
Well, there was a Potawatomi year. There was a Ho-Chunk year. And then Marriott last year in Middleton, I think was right down the road from me.
Yeah.
This year, Osh Vegas.
Always a blast.
Ron Johnson's stomping grounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to look his ass up.
He said he's not going to be there, man.
Well, that doesn't mean I won't be there.
Open house, king-size bed for all.
What do you think Ron was going to say? Like, welcome over?
Yeah.
Come use the pool, the hot tub, and the master suite.
Pond be good for you, Gertie.
Dominic, little article. So please tune in tomorrow. Special coverage. Hell, next 2 days. Special coverage tomorrow, 3 to 6 p.m. Devil's Advocates, like we always do it, only from Osh Vegas, baby.
Well, and it's going to be stacked. I mean, normally in these events, people are walking by, and many of our Democratic friends that we've had on the show will be walking by, and we'll just kind of grab them here and there and just do our thing. We'll have a couple set interviews.
I got 10 set interviews.
10?
Yeah.
You better give me a rundown, man. I haven't seen 10.
When they get there, I'll tell you, hey, this is who's next. My understanding, the Teamsters, our friends and sponsors, the Teamsters, they're stepping up this weekend. They're doing a big ad push, and they're going to offer their endorsement live on the air tomorrow, gubernatorial Dem endorsement.
Awesome. Tom Bennett going to be on the air with us. We don't know yet, so it's going to be
late
for
in the show
as well.
Tom texted late in the show, close to 6. But the coverage, it will just be getting started. Hell, we will be doing this. And by the way, tell your friends, if they're out of market, tell your friends, newstalk1510am.com. This event will also stream at darnwi.com, darn, Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin.com. You can find live stream at either place. But this event, it goes all night long, Dom. We will keep it running live without commentary. We're not going to step on the Dem speeches.
Not this time.
Although, if we do have a floating break, Tony Evers might just catch a bad break. I'm just saying. But our intention is to blow out all the commercials, do this event beyond 6 o'clock with limited commercial interruption, but bring live mic coverage, maybe a little commentary early in the show, but live mic coverage from the Democratic Party convention. My understanding, in the 6 o'clock hour, a number of the gubernatorial candidates, congressional candidates, it's going to be all kinds of people. And, of course, the fine Congress people like Gwen Moore, Mark Pocan, Ron Kind. Be a big show. Tammy Baldwin. Tammy who? Tammy Baldwin.
Oh, Tammy Baldwin. All right.
Do you think she'll make an effort? I would gladly. I'm just putting it out there on the record. Tammy, if you're listening, and of course, we expect our senator to listen, not just Ron. Tammy should be listening as well. Always got time for you, Tammy. Be nice to see you in public and on this show. That'd be a pleasant change. So we'd certainly make time for our Democratic senator from the great state of Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
She's running for re-election right now. I think it's her big night tomorrow night.
Well, all right. We look forward to it. It's going to be a hell of a party.
And then Saturday morning, we're going to play out the speeches that we could not make time for. Broadcast day tomorrow, it's 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And then Saturday morning, broadcast kicks in again, 9 a.m. Now, you'll be here on Brady Street. What's going on here in Brady? If people are in the Milwaukee area, what's going on Saturday
Brady
morning?
Street's got a great event tomorrow. It's the Art Walk here on Brady Street. So
that's Saturday, though.
I'm sorry, yes, Saturday. So Saturday morning, Curdy, I'll see how the night goes for me Friday. I might crash over in Oshkosh Friday night. Maybe not.
Historically, those have been very, very late nights.
Yes, they have been. But Saturday here on Brady Street in Milwaukee, the Art Walk. So there's artists artists will go to individual businesses, set up shop, do some art. It's an event to bring people down to the street, check out some of the retail, some of the bars, some of the events. We're going to be checking here, the studio here on Brady Street. All the artists will come in down here, and so I'm going to come down here, help out Steph with the Brady Street bid, and we're going to be partying down here. Of course, we'll be playing out the sound from what is going on up in Oshkosh here as well.
So Saturday morning, tune in by 9 a.m. and come on down to Brady Street if you're in town. Party on down with the Art Walk, but keep it tuned in to 1510 a.m., 1580 a.m., and we will be playing out little morning commentary, a few of the morning speeches. We'll be playing the speeches that we did not have time for the night before, and most importantly, the post-game party. The Valley Victory Brat Fry from the Midnight Club in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Gordon Hintz, the fine host, the Assembly Minority Leader.
That's his backyard.
Like 80 legislative candidates expected to be in attendance.
Damn.
And our show will go on. Earl Ingram Jr. taking his Saturday show on the road. He'll be at Osh Vegas. He'll be at the Midnight Club. He's going to carry the torch from 12 to 3. and then he's going to hand it off to our friend Rep. Jocasta Samaripa, buying them in her own right. Man, what a big weekend. Maggie Dawn of the Resistance 4 to 6. And that's just Friday, Saturday. Wow.
You're welcome.
And we've been working hard today. And here's the deal. No Friday grievances tomorrow. Nothing but good times to be had. So if you got something to say, right now would be a great time. 844-967-2789.
We know you got something to say. Lots of comments on the YouTubes and Facebook pages regarding our Republican senator.
Let me read something that fired me up. Little piece, Jesse Apoyan, our friend, Jesse OPP Apoyan at the Cap Times on the hostmadison.com. The headline, Wisconsin Republicans accuse Democratic governor candidates of campaign finance hypocrisy. That's very rich coming from the party of Scott Walker, a party that has uniquely corrupted campaign finance laws to their benefit here in the state of Wisconsin.
Like no other state.
But I'm jumping into the body of Jesse's piece. Here's a quote, Dom, from young Alex Zimmerman. He is the Republican Party of Wisconsin spokesman and the new Joe Fadness. Here's the quote. The highly flawed Democrats running for governor hypocritically condemn money in politics until it's being spent in their favor, as each candidate tries to outmatch the next on their anti-money rhetoric. They're actually maneuvering to court big money liberal special interests from around the country. Now, this article points at Malin Mitchell and Kelda Royce as examples, two of the young Dems, youngest in the field. Kelda, I believe, at 38, Malin at 40, Scotty Wanker, he's 50. Many of the candidates older than he.
Way older.
Back to this piece. Wisconsin Democratic gubernatorial candidate Kelda Royce says she's proud to have supporters holding fundraisers for her throughout the country, and that's not at odds with comments she made about building a campaign $1 or $2 at a time. Malin Mitchell, another Democratic candidate for governor, says the state's campaign finance system and contribution limits are out of whack. That's the quote, and need to change, although he has accepted a PAC contribution of the maximum $86,000 limit. Meanwhile, Republicans say neither candidate is walking the walk when it comes to talk decrying the influence of money in politics. Well, as the party of corruption, shut the hell up. That's what I would say to Alex Zimmerman, Scott Walker, and the ilk. But perhaps a valid criticism. My criticism of one other candidate in the field has been his integrity is getting in the way of running an effective campaign.
And who's that?
Mike McCabe.
I like Mike McCabe.
Mike McCabe could not be tarred and feathered with this hypocrisy label. Not on campaign finance, not on good governance. Mike McCabe has made it very clear, $200 cap on any individual donation, $1,000 in the cycle, perhaps in the primary. I'm not exactly clear how he delineates, but that certainly keeps the billionaires and the millionaires, keeps their powder dry. They cannot come and give to McCabe's campaign. Here's what else I would say. It's not even about the money that the individual campaigns will have, although I know a lot of these Democrats. I tested the waters, as a few of you might recall. Brief, but I tested.
Very few, but go ahead.
The money's not exactly plentiful for the many Democrats that have qualified for the ballot.
My understanding, many of the big dollar donors, as Zimmerman will put it, are waiting till the primary is over.
But then the machine gears up, right? Then the machine, the money machine, the campaign machine, it's going to gear up in full earnestness on behalf of whoever the victorious Dem is. And I say good. We need that. I mean, there's going to be very little way to battle Scott Walker's financial advantage. And it could be as much as $40 million. And it's not even going to be Scott Walker spending the money, although he's got $1.5 million, telling you what a great guy he is currently running out there on the airwaves. But Scott Walker is going to have $40 million. And whoever wins that primary is going to get tarred and feathered with the message that Scott Walker puts forth. Or his supporters, coordinating third-party groups, be they express advocates, which is still a bright legal line that Scott Walker's not afraid to cross, or whether it's,
issue advocacy?
Yes. So, Alex Zimmerman, the Republicans have no credibility on this issue. We have a uniquely corrupted campaign finance system. But if one guy could stand tall on this issue, and I'm not saying it's the right stance, but Mike McCabe cannot be tarred and feathered with this criticism.
And listen, man, I absolutely appreciate McCabe's stance on this. But to hell with the Republicans. Can you not have that philosophy that there's too much money in politics? What, are you going to bring a knife to a gunfight? I mean,
well, that's my concern with McCabe.
He's
bringing a pillow to a gunfight.
If you accept the money and then you do something to try to change it when you're in power after you win, well, I don't see that as a terrible thing. If you accept the money and then continue to accept the money and then do the coordination with express or issue advocacy, well, regardless if you're Republican or Dem, that becomes a problem in my mind.
Well, I got out, but as far as I was concerned, all bets were off, man. I was doing whatever dirty stuff I had to do to win. Because Scott Walker will come back with us, more Devil's Advocates.
The biggest fear that I think a lot of our supporters have is the outside money.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. Your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
We are the People for People, People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. Educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P4PPC.org, P4PPC.org.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel evil or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open. What's your take? You got to air your grievances today. We have a big party tomorrow up in Oshkosh, broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Democratic Party of Wisconsin's annual convention. But you can get us right now, 844-967-2789.
Breaking news at the CNN on the Chiron at this moment. Trump pressured Attorney General Sessions on multiple occasions to reverse recusal in Russia probe, or as our friend, Sen Ron Johnson would frame it, Hillary's emails.
Oh,
if you missed Ron on this show, it was sort of a meandering interview, about an hour long. Find it on the podcast. We'll post it up at the Devil's Advocates. I guess that's on our website. And, of course, at News Talk 1510 AM, always streaming live, including for expanded coverage of the Democratic Party convention this weekend, as Don mentioned.
So let's be clear on this. So when the AM, of course, it's a daytimer, folks. That means we got to turn the signal off with the sunset.
8:30 p.m.
8:30. So after 8:30, they have to. Everyone wants to hear what's going on at the DPW party.
It'll still be live.
It'll still be live on the interwebs at the News Talk 1510 AM website.
And Crute and Dom.com.
And DomandCrute.com. And DARNWI.com. All sorts of websites get you there, folks. Tune in. It's going to be a blast.
Hell, you can use the TuneIn app. You can tell Alexa, tune in WRRD on TuneIn, and sure enough, she'll take you right there. But Dom, let's get back to the conversation. The money issue. And the Democrats are going to be disadvantaged no matter
how much money they take.
Right. When's the gubernatorial primary? Of course, that happens in August. This weekend's the kickoff of the big elective cycle. You know, people will start tuning in with more regularity. Except for our fine audience. They've been here the whole time. But here's the question, fine audience. You got problems with Democrats raising money from, let's call it unions or PACs or dollars outside the state of Wisconsin. Because when you see big donation numbers, those are usually not exclusively Wisconsin donors. And Kelda Royce, well, part of her rollout video, I called it bold. It was a bold choice. You know, using breastfeeding, using your gender, using your motherhood as a campaign rollout video. Well, hell, we know that she's looking to play some gender politics. And perhaps I was not the target audience for that campaign launch video. It was probably well-heeled women on the East and the West Coast, good liberals, good progressives, good donors, you know, some on the Emily's list.
Why couldn't it be well-heeled women right here in the state of Wisconsin?
Well, sure. You take the money where it comes from. The question I would have for the audience, and I want to hear from them, 844-967-2789. You got problems with Democrats doing whatever the hell they got to do to win against Scott Walker. Now, I personally took the tack. I'd coordinate with third-party groups. I'd point out the corruption of this freaking governor. I'd do whatever he's doing in spades. And if he said anything about it, if Alex Zimmerman, little weasel, the new little weaselly Joe Fadness over at the GOP, if he said something, I'd punch him in the mouth rhetorically, and I'd let him have it. And one candidate, and I give Mike McCabe credit for this, one candidate has differentiated on this issue of campaign finance money. It's Mike McCabe. Has he hamstrung himself? Perhaps. But I want to hear from the audience. Is this an issue? Is this something you're voting on? Is this something that matters to you? It's time to start sorting them out. It's time to pick a Dem gubernatorial candidate. It's time to see who's really the front runner. And it's not Tony Evers. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates.
Evil will always triumph because good is dumb.
And what do we got on this thing?
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, you are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Ooh, I just felt a trickle down. No, I don't recall doing it.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book, Have You Ever Wished You Were Someone Else? Carrying the Weight of Autism. Chapter 4, man, A Face in the Crowd.
Being in public school, a lot of times you have like 35, 40 kids in the class, and I felt like another face in the crowd. Like I wasn't getting the individual attention that I needed when I was falling behind in my curriculum. I felt like I was on a political spectrum. Like not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta like be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Saturday, June 2nd from 12 to 4 p.m. Join Earl Ingram, Rep. Joe Casas-Amaripa, and Resistance Radio from the Valley Victory Broad Fry, the Democratic Convention's postgame party from the Midnight Club in Oshkosh. Union sponsors include Northeast Wisconsin Building and Construction Trades, Fox Valley Area Labor Council Painters Local Council 7, Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 400, introducing 80-plus Wisconsin Democratic legislative candidates. Tune in Resistance Radio Saturday for the political event of the year. Join the party and get a brat for the road.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. In their ongoing effort to sabotage the Affordable Care Act, the Walker administration has announced they will permit the sale of substandard Lemon health insurance plans through the end of next year on the individual and small group markets. This move comes despite the governor saying in his State of the State address that he wanted to stabilize the state's individual health insurance market. The substandard policies are not comprehensive and often will not cover pre-existing conditions. It is estimated that substandard plans will increase premiums for everyone else by about 10%. Outside for this afternoon, mostly sunny and then partly cloudy tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, sunny in the afternoon, highs in the low 60s in the Milwaukee area, mid-70s in the Madison area. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
I'm the king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. In the midst of the happy hour, we're going to play a little inside baseball with all our friends in the audience, Tom. Now, I have joined the Democratic Party, and I registered for the convention. And technically, I'm a voting delegate in the big straw poll coming up this weekend.
Any idea how many voting delegates there are?
I had heard, and I don't mean to throw out a broad number. I had heard 3,000 registered for the Democratic Party convention in Oshkosh. My understanding, rooms booked all the way to Fond du Lac, so plenty of interest. We'll have to get a head count from Martha Lanning, hoping to have her on the show tomorrow. But here's the inside baseball part. When I was out there as a candidate, a few people trying to look out for my best interest. I said, all I really want to do to know if I'm a viable candidate is to start showing up in some straw polls, right? You got to show some traction. You got to be viable in somebody's eyes. Well, I've only really seen 3 straw polls prior. The second CD, and that was a room of 93. Kelda Royce did very well in that room. The Educators Amplified event, gubernatorial edition right here on WRD, something of a debate. And that one, as far as I recall, went Kelda, Malin Mitchell, Mike McCabe, Dana Wachs, Andy Gronick, and then that DPI guy. Now, that's when I, saw the tea leaves and stepped out. We've heard some interesting metrics from our friend like Emily Kuhn over at Won My Vote. That's an app for the very politically plugged in. Interest in the candidacies, 1, 2, 3, was Kelda, Malin, Crudy. Damn it, I should have said.
See.
And then we've had one other very unscientific, unofficial straw poll right here on this show. And as I know, you tabulated the votes. Kelda Royce handily won that.
Ran away with it.
But that doesn't really equate to what guys like Tony Evers are telling people. Hey, one Marquette poll, I'm in front. See you at the finish line, right? He's the front runner. Keep saying it.
Everyone's going to spin it their own way.
And Kelda, of course, is getting a lot of mileage out of the fact that these very small sample straw polls, she's won them so far. So the really important straw poll is the WisPolitics straw poll at the Democratic Party convention. The race everyone cares about is the gubernatorial race. And if you really want to do well in the straw poll, it's probably not a bad idea to reach out to those that are qualified to vote. Delegates, let's call us.
Is there a list of delegates that the candidates
can
get
purchase a list.
Of course you can.
No, the list wasn't overly expensive. It was like $250.
Oh, okay.
I looked at purchasing a list because part of the strategy that I would have adopted would have been, I'd have been calling me some delegates saying, hey, here's what I believe on this issue or that issue. What's important to you? Doing a little campaigning on the phone. Personally politicking and trying to earn at least the straw poll vote so I could scratch and look decent in the straw poll. Well, there's 10 on the ballot, right? I've been reached out by 2 campaigns and then one very late today. I suspect it's about the DPW. I haven't verified that email. But only 3, perhaps maximum, of the 10 possible contenders have reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about your vote. And one campaign has done so more than once. And you asked me off the air. In fact, I made you guess a couple, and you were way off base.
Yeah.
But
there's 10 to choose from, man.
There is a lot to choose from. Matt Flynn sent me a letter, and it was effectively a letter of endorsement. Those that stood with Matt Flynn endorsed him. It was a letter from these supporters, and it said, hey, hope to see you at the DPW, et cetera, et cetera. Effectively, it was a plea for my support. Kelda Royce's campaign. I got a phone call. I got an email. So at minimum, I got 2 reach outs from Kelda Royce's campaign. Strategic. Once again, she's trying to do what she can to affect the outcomes of the straw polls. I think that's smart. What I have noted, and I'm not here just to get on the Mike McCabe bandwagon today, those that self-brand themselves, those that tag themselves out there on social media, I pointed this out on the air before, Mike McCabe's team doing the best job to say, hey, we're all down for Mike McCabe. So I see it. I see it out there, at least amongst my groups of friends.
Like their profile pictures or something? Or
yeah,
what do you see?
I like Mike, or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
They demonstrate their support for Mike McCabe. So I know he's got at least a lot of social media strength, and so many of the people that are friends of mine on Facebook are probably grassroots progressives, much like myself, or at least how I perceive myself to be. But the straw poll is a big deal. Here's one last thought, and then we're getting to the phones. 844-967-2789. The Republicans just had their convention, right? Small room. Leah Buchmer won. My understanding, a friend that was in the room, a lobbyist friend, told me down from like 1,200 historical attendance to 900.
Boo.
A, that might speak to the enthusiasm for the current presidency.
Lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. But B, the insiders love them some Leah Buchmer. 73% support she got in the room in the Senate race to oppose Tammy Baldwin.
Well, she's Walker's girl.
Sure, she is the insider's insider. Now, the Democratic Party straw poll, 3,000, that's a bigger number. I guarantee we didn't have 3,000 at the DPW last year. It was a good party, but it wasn't 3,000. So there's more interest. Suddenly there's fresh, new blood in the room. Well, presumably someone's candidacy has inspired them. They've probably got some sort of preference if they're going to go and show up and caucus and you know, party with the devil's advocates. That's always a good thing.
Bunk up at Senator Johnson's house.
Yeah. We'll see you later, Senator Johnson. Pood Pond.
Pond be good for you.
But here's my point. I'm not as clear. You know, I don't have all my tea leaves laid out before me, but my impression will still be that this is a Democratic function. And it is more likely that Democratic insiders will vote in a Democratic primary, right? Partisan primary. Republican insiders vote in a Republican primary. So that part of the thing may forecast forward. But I'm not at all clear that the actual support of the grassroots, the support of the likely Democratic voter in the state of Wisconsin, I'm not sure if we'll get any clear picture of that coming out of an insider's confab in Oshkosh this weekend. So as much as I'd like to say this straw poll, this will be telling. Maybe Kelda Royce, maybe she's rolling the table. Maybe I'm all wrong. Maybe Tony Evers has the love of all the old insiders. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's Malin Mitchell. Hell, maybe Mike McCabe might jump up and bite someone in the ass. Maybe the Northwoods folks love them some Dana Wachs. Maybe it's Andy Gronick. Maybe it's Kathleen Beinhout. I don't see her enough that I'm not even thinking about the love and adoration some might feel for her candidacy.
Don't forget about Josh.
Played?
I don't know.
Played? The corporate lawyer from Racine.
But you're and now when Senator Johnson was in, you said these aren't, these are the grassroots. These aren't the insiders. Do you accept that?
No, those that go to the convention are the insiders. They do the hard work. I mean, hell, I'm learning this part. The people that are the Democrats from Waukesha County, the Democrats from Ozaukee County, Washington, 72 counties, the CD chairs, the delegates, all these people, they took a step above and beyond simply paying the $20 and showing up. They have invested themselves in this process on knocking doors, on building the infrastructure that the Democratic Party so desperately needs if they want to have success this fall. Because the money, we're going to get our asses kicked on. But the emotion, the passion, the facts, the issues, well, those are to our advantage, I would say. But I'm not at all clear what we're going to learn from this insider game. But if I had to follow the most strategic, I would say Kelda Royce or Matt Flynn are both playing the insider's game, and this is an insider's event, and I would hope to see either or both of those candidates show well, because at least they're putting the effort in.
844-967-2789. You can put the effort in. You can give us a call. Be like Jake from Milwaukee. Hey, Jake, welcome to the show. What do you think?
Hey, yeah, a few weeks ago when Crute was giving up the governorship, going for it, that day I had the best 3-word line he could have used. I am Crute. It gets everything together. It's a simple message. It has its platform. It has a connotation to popular, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I am Crute on the T-shirt with him smiling with his Badgers hat. And then you quit. I am so angry. I could have made you president of the world.
Oh, see?
Anyways.
Where were you, man?
Anyway.
We needed you. I am Groot.
Jake, maybe if I'd have talked to our friend Emily at the One My Vote app, I didn't know there was so much interest in my candidacy.
Hey, Jake, what do you think about the money issue? Of course, the Republicans are the hypocrites, because how can you possibly have any issue with somebody else doing what you're doing? But, of course, if the Dems don't want to bring something besides a knife to a gunfight, they're going to have to go out. They're going to have to fundraise. What's your take on this?
I think that we should bring in as much out-of-state money as we can, because things are no longer local and state level anymore, or even level of school board.
Yeah, right.
It is a national thing, so it's open season. Let's make Scott Walker and them cry with out-of-state money and make them complain about it, because that's what he said. We're afraid of out-of-state money. Well, you know what? Shove it down your throat.
But
so
Jake,
we should do as much as we can.
Do you worry that that sort of attitude blunts the fact that Scott Walker is completely corrupted, broke campaign finance laws? If we all do it, then you get the straw man false equivalency. Well, the Dems are raising money too, and I'm so worried about the outside money. Well, then that blunts one of the tools we have to beat this corrupted man over his head with. Is it not, Jake?
Well, if you have your legs broken and then your arms broken, you can't even crawl. So I say it's all-out war, because that's what they want. Let's give it to them. No holds barred, no regrets.
Mortal Kombat.
Get over here. All right, Jake, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for the call, man. We appreciate it. I think he makes a point. Now, I'm not clear that if you are abiding by current law, in this case, current campaign law.
Should Dems coordinate with third-party groups?
Yes. Abso-friggin-lutely.
Should Dems use negative campaign ads to their advantage?
Yes.
Should Dems be buying ads on Resistance Radio?
Yes.
All of the above.
That's how it is, man. I mean, I get it. I'm all about the higher discourse, but that's not. I don't know if that's going to win, man. I'd like to think it would, but you know how they do it. They're going to drown out no matter how much money the Democrats raise. The Republicans are going to drown it out anyway. I mean, you fight fire with fire.
Dominic, had I been the primary nominee, had I ever debated Scott Walker, I intended to go on the stage, take his hand, and make him, campaign style. I'd be smack talking out there on center stage. I'd be looking at his wandering eye and his bald spot. I'd be rubbing all the dirt in his eye.
It's time to let you know I'm an Eagle Scout.
I'd let him know you're going down. We are the Devil's Advocates. We do not go down, but we do answer your calls at 844-967-2789.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
Finish him.
What do you think of these online reports that say you had a love child in college?
Fatality.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Hello, friends. Tom Alonzi from Teamsters Local 200. Local 200 has union members from up north in Fond du Lac all the way down to the Illinois state line, from the shores of Lake Michigan out to Waukesha. Here's a fact. Teamster union members negotiate living wages and affordable health care benefits where they work with their union representative. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
31? I mean, 13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound.
But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Picaholes with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Tune in to the Devil's Advocates this Friday, June 1st, for the official kickoff of the election season. Special expanded coverage from the Democratic Party Convention live from Oshkosh. Dom and Crute are Radio Row, and we have all the best friends. Commentary until 6, all the gubernatorial candidate and congressional Dem speeches, as Resistance Radio brings you exclusive coverage until dark. That's this Friday, 3 to 8:30, an exclusive production of the Devil's Advocates and Resistance Radio, 1510 a.m., 1580 a.m., and streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
James Santel, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
Ass, grass, or cash. Nobody rides for free. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line to talk or text 844-967-2789. This fine little song suggested by our pal Jeff. Yes, take the money and run.
He also said, if it's legal, do it.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. Tune in to the Devil's Advocates. Will be your special Radio Row commentary. Democratic Party Convention tomorrow, Saturday morning. We'll have the Valley Victory Brat Fry. Lots of union sponsors. Lots of candidates sponsoring. Nice to see a few of the candidates loosening their wallets. A few shekels being thrown in the pot. That's always good. And, of course, we want to hear from all our fine audience. Right now is your time to grieve at 844-967-2789. Let's go to Pete from Milwaukee. What do you got for us, Pete?
Well, I think our senator from Mr. Johnson missed his calling. He should be selling igloos to Eskimos after listening to him. Boy, oh, boy. He still wants to investigate Hillary Clinton, but he's not too interested in Mr. Trump's all connections to all the Russians and everything. I'm starting to wonder about him and his connection because, after all, aren't we worried about another election? And Mr. Trump is admitting more and more all the time, and they've got more indictments. And, you know, Hillary Clinton is not the president. She's gone. She's done. They got to quit beating that dead horse, you know?
Well, they think it's an electoral winner, Peter. They wouldn't do it. They're running against Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi. That's as brilliant a plan as they've come up with. They're going to embrace Trump and run against Hillary and Nancy.
Yeah, you're right.
Pete, do you think the fact that you know Trump had said what he said on Lester Holt, that he had Russia on his mind when he fired Comey, because, you know, this whole Russia thing is a made-up hoax, and then he comes out today and says, you know, firing Comey had nothing to do with Russia. Now, you and I can look at that objectively and say, well, both of these statements cannot be true. Do you think that resonates at all with independents or even some of the Trumpsters out there?
Well, I think the independents definitely resonates, but it seems like people really support him. Just kind of write everything off. I don't know why, but they just can't see past the fact that this man was a liar before he came in office. He's lied over 3,000 times since he took office, and he just keeps going and going. And I don't know, you can't have that. We can't have that as a president of the United States.
Hey, Pete, I've got some encouragement to offer you. You know who Trump lost today? Droopy Dog Britt Hume from Fox News. Even Droopy Dog does not believe the newest. I think we all saw the tape with Lester Holt. Hell, It wasn't just that. He also bragged to the Sergis in the White House that he fired Comey to take the Russian pressure off. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's going to catch up with him, hopefully. Sooner or later it's got to.
Well, what Trey Gowdy say, and thanks for the call, Pete, if you're innocent, start acting like it.
He can't. Trump cannot act innocent because, of course,
he's guilty.
He is. 844-967-2789.
If you have an innocent client, act like it.
Yes.
Seems somewhat straightforward.
Joe from Tucson, you're up. Thanks for calling, Joe. What do you think?
Oh, man. Hey, just a quick thing. I don't think it's going to be that exciting. The guy is right. 3,000 documented weirdo things that Trump has done. But the reason why nobody's getting excited about going to Oshkosh and the Democratic, that's what I love about your show. You had the DNC gal on, and she told you exactly, it doesn't matter what straw polls we have, she told you better get used to dancing in a phone booth because there's not going to be much stretching out. They can't even tell you what they're going to stand for. And, Wisconsin voted for Bernie Sanders. This thing isn't settled. And to sit here and just say everybody's just going to be, they're setting us up for a massive loss. I'm not seeing any sort of a blue wave. They're the Cleveland Browns. And they're telling you, no, we don't have to extend any handshakes to Bernie Sanders' crowd. We don't have to do anything. We are running with the Cleveland Browns. That has lost us 1,000 democratically held seats.
But Joel, let me speak to my state. Here are a few tea leaves you can watch from the weekend. I don't know how it's going to break down, but here are a few things you can watch out of the straw poll coming out of Wisconsin this weekend. If you think it's all about Bernie Sanders, watch the Mike McCabe support. I would say he is probably the candidate that most analogizes to Bernie. What I thought I saw and what I perceived out there amongst voters, it's not a blue wave. It might be a pink wave. So watch the support for Kelda Royce or perhaps even Kathleen Feinhout. Watch the two female candidates. And finally, understanding these are Democratic Party insiders and some new additions. If it's a guy like Tony Evers, if it's an old candidate, if it's old standby candidates, I will see that as a depressing thing, and I will start my campaign for governor in 2022 immediately after the primary. See you from Osh Vegas, baby. Thank you to U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. I'll be knocking on his door tomorrow night late. Sabrina Singh from the Democratic National Committee, and Jodi Habush Sinykin, attorney for Midwest Environmental Advocates. Thank you for listening each and every day. Can't wait to do this from the DPW. You better be tuning in tomorrow, live streaming all weekend at newstalk1510am.com.
But there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that.
You know what? I'm happy.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full